What's up, guys? I'm back with another video, and today we're gonna be playing as Russia. And well, yeah, once again we're playing as Russia. We're gonna be reforming the Russian Empire this time. So it's how do I say this? It's basically the Soviet Union but bigger. And of course, as usual, we start with Estonia. And the interesting thing is that these Baltic nations have a pretty like close history with the Russian Empire, really. Like comparatively speaking, like if when you think about it, right? Baltic nations very nearly when they were winning their independence from the Soviet Union against like the Soviets mainly. They actually enlisted the help of White Army officers, but in the end, however, Soviets were able to defeat the White Armies. So we never really saw Soviet Union. We saw Soviet Union win mostly, and so ironically, I'm invading these nations again to establish the monarchy. So yeah, kind of awkward. Anyways, I start invading Latvia, and initially they're able to repel my push, but of course I quickly invade it, take it over. Of course, I think as when you're playing as Russia in general, the Baltics are usually your first target. They're they're how to say this? They're closest to the Russian heartland. Like they're like really close to St. Petersburg itself. Like I think a couple of hundred kilometers away, or something like that, around 100 kilometers, right? And so they're very close. And over here, actually, Lithuania, funny enough, doesn't even move. They don't try that spreading tactic, but they just die. And so, just like that, again, relatively quickly, conquer the Baltics. And this time, the main difference in terms of my European territories that I needed was that I needed part of Poland, which, of course, was under the Russians. I think it was, well, it was mainly after the Napoleonic Wars when Russia kind of just like steamrolled Napoleon after his army kind of froze to death. So yeah. Over here, I quickly conquered Georgia as well. Once again, I go after the Caucasus right after Europe, while letting the Baltic states assimilate to Russia. You know, that's kind of funny enough that keeps up with the whole imperial legacy, you could say, because assimilation was a very big part of the whole Russian Empire. They usually try to assimilate the smaller nations. For example, like we have there was the Holodomor, which was Stalin's attempt to like basically just starve Ukraine. Why? Not sure. I mean, I guess he wanted to like just stamp down on them. I really don't get the whole idea. Starving people doesn't exactly make them your friends. So strange, but yeah. And over here, I decided to invade Armenia right along with Azerbaijan, just cause. I mean, why not take two birds? Take two birds with like two stones, but take them out at the same time. It's basically what I did. And yeah, it's again assimilation. And so now I move back over to Europe, and I decide to I just move these troops to Belarus really, and then I prepare for an invasion. Again, Belarus is really easy to invade, and it's kind of strange whenever I attack Belarus in these games as Russia, last time as well, because like Belarus and Russia are pretty close allies, like Putin's regime and Lukashenko's and all. So, find it weird. It's really weird. Seems weird. Like there's even the Union State that's been like proposed and talked about, but it's not really happened yet. We don't know. It will happen. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Lukashenko's been in power for like since its independence, which is a damn long time. It's been like 30 years or something. Anyways, I prepare for a Russian invasion of Finland. Now, it may have not went super well the last time they tried this, which is the Soviet Union, but hey man, second time's the charm. Yeah, no one's ever said that, but second time's the charm, I guess. And you know, funny enough, the Finland, right? They've like remained neutral. Their main tactic, as it now, is like remain neutral. Like if you notice, they didn't take the route the Baltic states took, which was to join NATO. But yeah, and so Norway invades, but I was just like, I'm not doing this now. So I just made peace with them, and they agreed. And so now I invade Finland, and I invade them from all angles. I make sure to do it, and so then the advance goes well on all sides. and I just mainly steamroll the country. You see, thing about Finland is the northern areas, right? Same thing with Sweden and Norway in this game, but the northern areas barely have any population. It's mainly the southern part, and so the southern part of Finland usually gives the most resistance in these wars. And so I prepared to fight them back. They tried to escape and break out, but I was able to stop them. And just like that, Finland became once again another imperial territory of Russia. Okay. I mean, you'd wonder. I mean, think about this game. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest, it's highly impractical. Like, it doesn't make sense. Because, thing about Finland, right? They've remained neutral. Compared to the Baltic states, they've remained neutral, which is like it's called Finlandization. Literally, I mean you can tell that right there. But essentially, it's when like smaller nations which are nearby, much like superpower, usually just stay neutral or keep at friendly terms, so that to prevent being conquered. And it's worked out for them, you can say. Now over here, I once again invade Ukraine, and of course I take the opportunity, since Poland was attacking, to essentially just quickly roll in and take as many provinces as I could. And of course, I managed to cut the Polish off at until Crimea. So I quickly took all the territories that I could, and Poland decided to just annex those territories. So yeah, I apologize for the hideous border gore. It hurt my soul as well. This one hurt my soul as well. This just Algeria randomly declares war on me, but they're gone. And then even Moldavia declares war on me, but I just peace out with them. Even though they are part of my territory, I did not want to bother. I was too focused on preparing to invade Poland. As you can see, I lined up their borders pretty well. And so what I wanted to do initially was get Germany to attack Poland so I can take their eastern territories. But yeah, no, it wouldn't let me do that because, well, I didn't do that because Germany was already at war with France. If I tried to get them at war with Poland, it would have been a disaster. They'd just lose. And so what I did was I got both France, since France was winning, I got France and Germany to attack. So regardless of which nation was there, they'd be fighting Poland. And then, knowing that Poland would be stuck there like that, I decided to quickly invade. And either ways, even if even if it wasn't for the Ukrainian territory, I still did need Polish territory itself, like mainly the eastern part of Poland that used to be part of the Russian Empire. That like formed the salient during World War II as well. And so I take all the territory I needed. I mainly advance from the center. Of course, for some reason, nations just randomly declare war because Sweden declares war on me, and so I quickly make peace with them, and I do the same for the Netherlands. Poland does fight back pretty well, but I'm able to just counter their offensive, and I practically hold it with nails. I'm holding it by like a thread, and so what I quickly did was I quickly annexed it. So have fun, guys. More border gore. And yeah, I had to. Yeah, you can imagine how I felt having to stare at that. Anyways, to make myself feel better somewhat, I decided to invade Moldova, and this one went about as well as you could expect. And yeah, just like that, over like one turn, they stopped existing. Then I decided to finish my preparation for the invasion of Kazakhstan, which I was about to do before, but then I realized it's going to take way too much money. But now that I had more money, more territories, you could say, I was making a lot more money so I could sustain the army. I mean, that's really the circle of like life in this game. Like, you conquer more places, and then those places eventually you can tax them and gain money. And then the more money you gain, the more you can feed your military, you could say, or economy, or whatever you really want to do, basically. Whatever you want to do. So yeah. That's practically this game, and it's the thing in life in general. I mean, for any state, you just need it's money. Money is the most important thing here. I quickly right there you see there's a couple thousand Kazakh troops that managed to break through my front line, and so I quickly conscripted a bunch of couple thousand people, and send them to take them out. And so Kazakhstan fell within a few turns after that. Just like that, annexed the whole thing. Of course, then I assimilated. I mean, when you think about it, though, like this assimilation doesn't always make sense. This game, I'll tell you one thing, doesn't show the ethnicities very well because, you know, Russia actually can like sort of has a claim on Kazakhstan. I know it doesn't make sense, but like there's a pretty substantial Russian minority. I mean, they do have. I mean, if Russia's Crimea claim was legitimate in their eyes, then technically Kazakhstan would come under like possibly the same category. Comes under the same category as Crimea, like as a Russian minority, ethnically Russian minority there. So yeah. Anyways, I decide to, you know what, once again try it with Poland since these lands were assimilated, so I could recruit. And this time, I was definitely making sure that I got all the provinces I needed, and I also realized that I took some extra ones. So I took the 2 I needed. So finally, the borders looked normal, and I made sure to assimilate those 2 because I have a tendency to miss it like that. Anyways, since I finished all of my Western territorial conquests that I needed, I decided to prepare for the invasion of Uzbekistan and finish off the Stan nations, or well, yeah, Stan nations, I guess, the Central Asian nations. That's much more appropriate name there. And so, that's the thing. I actually did this, but I realized I had a pretty big army, so I basically just asked Kyrgyzstan to submit. I was like, okay, if they say yes, that's good. If they say no, I'll conquer them anyways. So I guess you could say I did it to save time. But that's the only time I do it. Honestly, I didn't want to make this video just me going to tiny nations and then annexing them. You know that's that. And you know, here's the thing: annexing nations, it's funny for a while, but it gets boring. It'll get boring. Okay? The fun of the game comes by conquering people. So I didn't want to do that too much. And anyways, I prepare to invade Turkmenistan, which is, of course, I think the last country beside, and then of course there's Tajikistan as well. But I prepare to invade Turkmenistan, and they have, well, very less factories, so they fall very easily. And then I also I remember that, you know, I needed sorry, I then decided to invade Tajikistan, right? And so I decided to recruit all the way from the Caucasus. Why I did this? Well, again, I think I mentioned this before, but great recruiting basin. They got a good population density. That's all. That's mainly the reason. So I just decided, you know, why not? Why not? And, you know, if you think about it, when you recruit from one place for a very long time, it's actually an interesting way to depopulate the place. Because you do that. Anyways, I decided since I needed to take that one state from Iran, that one state, for some reason, I mean, I guess it was controlled by the Russian Empire or whatnot, so it makes sense. But I decided to take that one state, and then I quickly just yoink it. Just gonna like yoink, gone. Stole the territory. And so Iran's done. My western territories were done, but I decided to make the borders accurate. So even though I wasn't in good relations with them, I gave the territories to Poland. And that territory was mainly, I think, controlled by Austria-Hungary, so yeah. And I realized that I had this tiny slither of land. I forgot what this was called. Like a corridor, I remember. I forgot what it's called. It's like Afghanistan's basically the connection to China. But I realized, even though it's the only thing I needed, this time I decided to invade Afghanistan for fun. And if you want to make it a storyline, you could just say, oh, they were trying to avenge the guys who lost the Mujahideen. But here, the Afghans actually gave a pretty good fight, like mainly because I invaded with like very less troops, pretty less troops. But I had to like I was afraid because I was concerned because like they started taking territory. And funny enough, this ironically resembles the map during that insurgency, like the whole they have the rural areas and they have that whole thing, like the border guard that was there. And so I conquered all of Afghanistan, and then I released them without that one little corridor, since I didn't want to. I really didn't want to bother with controlling them. And finally, I had to invade America. Now, funny enough, Donald Trump had great relations with Russia. Uh, yeah, no implications there. But okay, so I feel it's very heartbreaking. Put in like just breaks Trump's heart right here. This is an emotional heartbreak because I decide to invade him regardless, and start raising a massive army in Central Asia, knowing that, well, I'm gonna have to fight the U.S. So I think they're like the number two spot, and so I make sure I raise about 41,000 people, and I send them all the way to Vladivostok, which is Russia's port in the Pacific, where probably, I mean, logically speaking, that's where the invasions would have started. Ireland declares war on me, which I think is like an island in the Baltic Sea, so that's that. And then finally, my invasion force arrives at Vladivostok and is ready. So I take it to Alaska, which is all I really needed. And the greatest anime betrayal of all time occurs. And funny enough, the Americans actually, I mean, even though they're outnumbered, they decide to naval invade from behind and kind of cause an annoyance, because since the provinces are so big, the screen just moves like crazy. The screen just, yeah, it just weirdly, it's weird. It just moves like crazy. And so just like that, I take all of Alaska, right? And so I realize there's like a couple more provinces that are like disconnected, and so I create and then I realized that I didn't have enough stars, so I start invading Washington. And I thought, you know what, maybe I could just puppet something, but I was like, nah. And then I just decided to take what I needed and go home. So yeah, put in sufficiently, stole Alaska back. I mean, it was, Russians got a good deal. They stole Alaska, and just like that, the Russian Empire was formed.